So it's August 20th. It's the first day after the release of the Keeping Families Together Parole program. I got all my applications submitted yesterday, and there were quite a few, and there were some problems along the way, but we got them all submitted. And I hope you got yours submitted if you tried to submit yesterday. And I want to talk about a few interesting things if you haven't submitted yours yet to watch out for. It's an online form only. You can't paper file this one, and that's just the way things are going with the Immigration Service. A lot of forms now, you have to submit them online. I prefer paper filing. I don't want to be the guinea pig about how to get my form submitted and accepted by the Immigration Service. There's also problems people can encounter when they're filling out the online form because it can lock you out. There's problems linking an attorney account with a client account, and when you submit documents, supporting documents, you have to make sure they meet their size requirements. And so there's just a whole host of issues that you don't encounter when you're just submitting something in the mail or paper-based. And so just be careful and give yourself plenty of time. Make sure to read the instructions. There's several places you can check for questions you may have. There's the Keeping Families Together website. It has the I-131F instructions and other information on that website. There's also a frequently asked questions website that links from that page as well. And there's also the regulations that have been published in the Federal Register. So those are 32 pages long in the Federal Register. So if you have questions and they're not answered, check those sources, and it may help you with the questions you may have. Some things to be on the lookout for is when you're submitting the application, there is a requirement you have to write a small paragraph about why you're deserving of discretion. So it's got to be 750 characters, and it can be up to 2,000. So discretion is what they're looking for. So again, that's just a balancing test. You don't want to be weighed in the balance and be found wanting. So you want to make sure that the good in your life outweighs the bad. So you're going to want to talk about the good things in your life. If you have a child, or if a child that's a citizen, or if you have a permanent resident brother or other family members, or if you got sick family members, you'll want to submit documents to prove that up as well. And so that's one of the issues that I found when I submitted my applications. Other things too that you just want to keep in mind is that the government has said that you can submit it if you have a previous removal or a border encounter. You can also submit it if you have certain criminal convictions. But they've said that they generally will not place people in removal proceedings if they deny your application. But if you do have these kind of issues, you may want to check with an attorney to make sure that you won't be placed in removal proceedings, because no one wants to go through the stress and bureaucratic nightmare that can result if you have a removal order, because then there's additional complications for the next phase. And so for all these people who have submitted their Keeping Families Together, the Parole in Place program, what are the next steps? So the immediate next steps are you should be getting a receipt notice showing that your application was accepted. The other one is after they've received your application, you will be sent for biometrics. You'll have your fingerprints taken. You'll have your photograph taken. That will be at a USCIS Application Support Center, an ASC. So you will go there and they will run your background check, and if they will check to see if you have any background problems. So if you have criminal convictions, those will show up in the fingerprint check. So you'll want to, again, make sure that you disclose those convictions if you have them, and you'll want to also look towards the future and making sure that that won't result in anything negative happening to you on immigration, being placed in removal proceedings in front of the immigration court. The other one is that for all these people who submitted their application yesterday, or there's no deadline currently yet to submit. It was anticipated that there might be a lawsuit that would enjoin this program, and there still may be. So I would suggest that if you haven't submitted your application already, you go ahead and get your application submitted. Because you never know when a lawsuit could come. The other thing to keep in mind is that, keeping the end goal in mind, is that this is a program made for adjustment of status. So once you get your parole, you will then file for the green card and get your lawful permanent resident status. Another thing that you want to be aware of is that it does ask for lots of information when you're filling out the form. So as you're completing the form, make sure you have any of the immigration documents that you have, or numbers that apply to you, readily available. So things that it will ask for your A number. So if you have an alien number from a previous encounter with a Customs and Border Protection, or from ICE, or even from a USCIS benefit, make sure to have those documents ready and available, because it will have your A number on it and you'll need that to submit it. It will ask for your social security number. You have to have a U.S. citizen spouse to apply. It will ask for their social security number. The other one that I saw was the I-601A receipt number. So if you did an I-601A, make sure you have that receipt number and have that ready so you can plug that in as well. Now those are two processes. You can pursue them simultaneously. We still don't know what's going to happen with this Parole in Place program. I mentioned that a lawsuit may happen, and so just let's keep our fingers crossed that the program does remain available. It's enacted by President Biden, and it's a big benefit for a lot of people that have a U.S. citizen's spouse, and so it could, as it's named, it's meant to keep families together. So if you have a citizen and you're eligible to apply, it could really be a big benefit. It will keep you from having to use that 601A waiver, depart the U.S., and go to the U.S. consulate abroad, the U.S. embassy, to apply for an immigrant visa. You can file for your green card in the U.S. if you meet the requirements. You got to be married to a U.S. citizen. You got to be in the U.S. for 10 years. When you're submitting that document online, you're going to want documents to prove up all of those requirements. You're going to want evidence that your spouse is a U.S. citizen, so a copy of their birth certificate or U.S. passport. You're going to want evidence that you're married, so if you have a marriage certificate, submit that. The government states that they'll also recognize common law marriage. So if you have a declaration of informal marriage, you can do that, but that's not required for some states that recognize common law marriage. So just make sure that you have evidence to prove up your marriage, and also make sure you have evidence to submit to show you're deserving of discretion, because the government has stated they want to see documents for that. Also, one of the biggest requirements is the documents to prove that you've been in the U.S. continuously for 10 years. So you're going to want documents to prove that. Usually about one document at least per year, but if you had more documents per year, that's what I would suggest. So you're going to want to prove that you're here for each of those 10 years, so from 2014 to 2024. So you're going to want to submit tax returns or school records or medical documents to show that you were in the U.S. But those are the big things to watch out for. And so if you have any questions, or if you had any problems or difficulties with your applications, feel free to reach out to me or leave me a comment in the comment section below. My name is Patrick O'Rourke. Thank you for watching.